Howdy doody this morning. Just double check that. Yeah, it is still this morning. 19th of August was officially photography day, and our local camera shop, Snapshot, had normally would have a some activity going, and one of the activities they had planned was a bring an old camera in day, just for a bit of fun. But of course, with level 4 lockdown occurring, that didn't happen. And at the time, I was a little bit preoccupied with things to do anything, but I decided today, and maybe tomorrow I'll do another one, I'll do a bit of old camera stuff. One old camera. This is the original leather case for it. And inside here, as well as the camera, which I'll show you in a minute, is the manual, the original manual, still in usable order. Hang on. Completely forgot those were in there. Should have checked before I went and flicked it open like that. There is in here a guide to Ilford films, film stock. There is a Kodak film exposure guide, which is interesting. It just goes to show, people think taking photographs is complicated now. It was way more complicated back then. The other thing that's in here is, which took me ages to find, and it lives in here, just to make it easy to find, is the manual for my father's light meter, which, yeah, I should have grabbed that as well, but might do that another day. And this is the camera. It's an interesting little weird camera, considering while I have used a little pocket Instamatic film camera, I hadn't really done what I call real photography with film cameras, other than a little pocket Instamatic where you just point and shoot, that's it, nothing complicated. And I did have a SLR for a little while, but I didn't do a lot of photography with it, not serious stuff, just a few snaps on holiday and stuff. And while I did get to know to use it reasonably well, I didn't use it a lot. But I never went back really far with cameras. And this, I have actually put film in. It takes not the 120 film, but the 620 film. And it's a bit fussy about the spools, so you can't, some cameras you can put the 120 in when they're designed for the 620. Depends on the space inside, but this one's a bit fussy, so you've actually got to have 620 spools. So what I've done in the past is I get some 120 and wind it onto the original spools I've got. What I might do is open up the back first for a bit of a look-see, and there is the back of the camera, with two original metal spools. Now, make sure that's closed. Sometimes forget to make sure it's properly closed because it's a bit stiff. Now, it's interesting because I had to really learn how to use this thing, because unlike modern cameras, it doesn't have what we recognise as a focus system, although technically it does. But so to open it, because it's a bellows camera, to open it, you press this little thing here down. There's a little black button there. Press that, flip that out, and pull it out. It's an intriguing little thing, because you can do overexposures with this, or double exposures with this, and its fastest shutter speed is 1/200th of a second. It's got, I have to put my glasses on for this bit. On the side, it's got the f-stops on the side here, with a little lever there. Come on closer to set your f-stop. And where is it? Oh, that's the other thing, is it's got a where is it? What am I looking for? Oh, it's got a little down here. It's got a little piece for cable release as well. And the outer ring here sets your shutter speed. But the thing that I find really fascinating is it doesn't have a focus system as we know. So what you actually do is you set your distance from your subject in feet using this. It's got a little thing to grab hold of. Oops. Using this. Get with the glasses, a pain in the ass. So see the marking, you might see the markings around there, that's in feet. And the easiest way to use this thing is to set your distance and then set your f-stop to allow for any miscalculation in distance, give you a better depth of field, because unless you can measure the distance, you can't be too precise. If you're taking someone's picture and you've got a tape measure, you can measure it out and you can get it quite exact. So you've got to have a very shallow depth of field if you really wanted to. It's also got a timer on the side. You might hear this. That's the timer. It fires. It's quite amusing because apart from the whole setting your distance in feet to get the focus and setting your f-stop and your shutter speed and all this sort of thing manually, you then, once you're ready to take a photograph, you actually have to cock it using that lever there. Then you're ready to take your photograph. Now compared to, and then you use this knob here to wind on your film. Now compared to modern cameras, that's like taking a month of Sundays to take a photograph. What's really interesting is the condition of this. It's hard, you can't see that on camera, but there's no light leaks around here. It's been well looked after. It was my father's, and up on my Facebook page there's a couple of photographs of Bruce McLaren racing that my father took with this exact camera. So I've got photographs that were taken with it. I've got a heap of other photographs as well. It just amazes me that he got such a couple of good photographs of Bruce McLaren racing with this thing, considering the fact that you've got to set your distance for your focus, set your f-stop, set your shutter speed, then you've got to cock the thing, then press the button to take the photograph. It's quite a fuss and performance to take a photograph with it, but it's quite hilarious. And the light meter, I eventually learned how to use that, which admittedly I have used the light meter when taking photographs with this thing, but most of the time I just be lazy, and I set my digital camera to, I set the ISO on my digital camera to whatever the film is, this film speed is for this camera. I then play with the f-stop and shutter speed on mine, keeping it under 200th of a second until I get an exposure I like, and then I transfer those settings to that camera to set it up, and then the only other thing is guessing the distance, and that's fun considering it's in feet on that. I'm used to thinking in meters, so you look at something and you go, okay, that's about 15 feet, I suppose, and then set it. So often I'm shooting at a more closed down aperture to give me a greater depth of field, just to allow for a little margin of error. So yeah, but it's an interesting little camera to use, and the leather case is still in good condition, but you can see on the back of it, it's obviously been carried around a bit. I've taken this to Raglan a few times, where I've had it around my neck, and I've taken it and the other camera and taken some photographs. A friend and I went to Raglan some time back, and I took this camera, the other camera which I'll bring out tomorrow, my digital camera, and a box brownie to Raglan, and found a bunch of landscapes and set up and took a photograph with each of the 4 cameras. 5 counting my cell phone. So I took photographs with each of the 5 cameras from about the same location. I chose the location based on what looked good inside the box brownie, and then set all the others up and took all. Mate of mine reckoned it looked hilarious because he went off to have a swim, but he saw me coming back along the beach with all these cameras dangling around me, and it looked quite a laugh because he watched me stop and get out the box brownie, take a photograph, get out this one, take a photograph, get out the old 35mm, take a photograph, and then do one with the digital. So yeah, it's a bit of an experience using this thing. Yeah, I just thought, since we didn't get to have a show your old camera day at Snapshot, I'd bring this thing out. I suppose if you were using it all the time, this whole process of setting it up like this, setting your f-stop, I have no idea what that is. It's about 8-ish. Setting your f-stop, setting your distance, setting your shutter speed, and then cocking it, and then taking your photograph. Yeah, that whole set the f-stop, Set your shutter speed. Which way does the dog go? That way. Setting your distance. Cock. Would have been interesting. I suppose you could get quite fast at it after a while. I wonder if you can... Okay, slow the shutter speed right down. It does actually, oh, hang on, yeah, slow it down to there, see what that looks like. It does actually have a bulb mode, which surprised me when I had a look at it. I almost didn't notice it. It's got a, actually I'm turning it the right way, it's got a bulb mode on there. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but we've got it sitting on bulb mode now. Which would be interesting because its slowest shutter speed on there is 25th of a second, but there's a bunch of positions down there that yeah, 25th of a second seems to be the slowest you can actually set it on, other than bulb mode. The really interesting thing is, if you look at it down here, you see the mechanism. It's actually just a little lever that goes all the way back from here, see it just there, all the way back up into here to the button. So the button is actually a physical thing. If you watch it move, the button itself is just basically releasing. That must be why it's got to be cocked. It's just a physical connection. The cable release is your standard thumb pressy one. It's quite interesting to use, because the cable release for this works with the 35mm camera as well, which has been useful at times, because the 35mm, which hopefully I get a chance to show tomorrow, it has a maximum shutter speed of 1/500th of a second. It's just like super fast compared to this thing. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Camera number 1. Everyone's seen a box brownie, so I won't play with that. But tomorrow I'll pull out the 35mm, hopefully, tomorrow or the day after, whenever, and show that. That I've used more because it takes ordinary 35mm film, and I've put a few rolls of film through that at different times. So I'll break that out either tomorrow or the day after, whenever. But for now, that's it.